Yo, so was doing my whole laundry night thing last night, where I watch a ton of movies and do laundry until like 5 o'clock in the morning. Because I just never get the chance to check out cable stuff. Like, there's a lot of cool cable channels going on here, and I used to do that all the time, and I totally miss it. So, but yeah, like I do the laundry at night as an excuse to just stay up till fucking crazy hours and drink beer and watch like just ridiculous movies on like regular TV, not like the internet or anything like that. But yeah, finally saw Summer of Sam. It's been out for like 17 years, and I'd never seen it before ever. Um, like people like have recommended it to me in the past. Like, you're gonna fucking, it's about killers and stuff. Oh, there's like slutty people running around like doing doing butt stuff for money, and like, it's super sleazy and you love it. And like people who know what kind of movies I tend to dig like the most. Got we're always trying to get me into this thing. But for some reason, I just fucking I let it pass. I just never watched it. I gave it a total pass, and then like last night though, it was like one of the few movies that was on. So I'm like, fuck it, Summer of Sam, let's go. Let's take a trip back to 1999. Let's take a trip back to the 1977 of 1999. With Spike Lee at the helm, a Spike Lee joint. So yeah, man, this movie is it's real pretty. Yeah. It's really, really well filmed. I got my little cell phone here so I can look people's fucking names up on the good old IMDb. Because of course, I do my research, but then I don't write anything down. I forget everything, and I have to fucking look it all up again. Yeah, man, the cinematography in this thing is great. The cinematography and the editing, and the direction's pretty fucking good. It's Spike Lee, so it's like everything's like really, like all the shots are like really well composed, and he moves the camera in like such ways to like evoke like emotions, like he does like in all of his early movies. Like I'm thinking Crooklyn, Do the Right Thing, Clockers would be the top three things that this movie looks like. You know, that's some good tea. That's that dirty chai. But yeah, so like there's a lot of that weird steady cam shit that he likes to do, like those weird like kind of shots that just kind of roam around like rooms, and follow people like around, and like one like long continuous take. You know what I mean? And he loves his framing. He loves his like weird mise en scène shit that he likes to like and that he likes to express like certain things with. Like, he likes to particularly in this movie, because like what it's about is, it's not like it's about the son of Sam like murders, right? But it's not about, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's totally like 17 years old. So it's like if you haven't seen it, you know, I'd recommend it honestly. But you know what I mean? Like it's nothing new to the people who have seen it. So, but yeah, like particularly in this movie, he likes to express isolation through like framing, which is super cool in a few scenes, because like what it's about is like it's about like people who are around during when Son of Sam is fucking killing people in New York. So it's not like so much about like, it's not like a Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer kind of a movie where it's all about the murderer, or like a Silence of the Lambs serial killer movie where it's all about the cops like trying to catch the killer. It's kind of like, it's about like people who like live around fucking like the area where the murder's taking place, and they're worried about the killer, and they're like kind of kind of dealing with it in bad ways. you know, and it's just kind of like their shitty lives as well, because like everybody in the movie's sleazy. I'll get to that in a minute. This is probably gonna be a long one. Maybe I'll put tags in it. There's supposed to be some kind of a way to like watermark videos or something. I gotta get better at YouTube, like how it works and shut the functionality. Anyway, so it's like all these freaking like Italian American guys, like 70s ass, like sleazed up, like wannabe mobster Italian American guys. You know, like they sell a little bit of weed and stuff, and they act all fucking hard ass and shit like that, and they try to get in fights. But it's about like them, right? And they all live in this neighborhood, and John Leguizamo is one of them, and his buddy, played by Adrian Brody, who was fucking sexy in this movie, I gotta admit. He gets into like punk rock music and shit, and like he starts dressing all awesome like a punk rocker from the 70s with like a spiky collar and shit like that, and like Liberty spikes and crazy hair, fucking like giant like Union Jack fucking shirts and stuff like that, and it's freaking his old friends out. And like, so there's this whole thing where like him and Leguizamo are in a car together, and they're talking about shit, and Brody's in the passenger seat, Leguizamo's in the driver's seat, and they're talking about various shit, and but they like during the conversation, instead of doing like the two like conversation shot where like they do like the reaction and then like the reaction and like they show both the guys in the frame, they just frame out one person, so it's like Brody's at the extreme left of the frame, you know, and Leguizamo's like at the extreme right of the frame, and they're kind of like, it's almost like showing their almost like their political leanings, almost like it's kind of like, you know, Leguizamo has he's like kind of a conservative dude, even though not really, you know, in this, and fucking like Brody's kind of a he's got more like, he's socially weird and shit like that, and he's like figuring out his shit, so he's like the left of the frame, you know, but they're both like super isolated from each other and from the rest of the scene with like this thing, so it's super cool framing. And there's another scene where Leguizamo like alienates all his like Italian Americans and they fucking bail on him because he's trying to, they all think Brody's like the Son of Sam murderer because he looks weird, and he was acting fucking like really strange, but and they just like isolate him in the mid ground of the frame, like in the middle of the composition, like looking out from behind a wall, so he's got like this giant fucking like beach in front of him, and like behind him's all like indistinct and shit, and he's just like behind this wall, so it's just like social isolation. Well, bam, you know what I mean? Like it's all communicated like fucking like crazy hard, like in that like one like in that one like really well orchestrated shot. So, you know, like, you know, Spike Lee knows his shit. You know what I mean? He knows the cinematic language. He fucking uses it. Bah, it's primo stuff. However, okay, so this movie does have some fucking problems. You know, it's definitely not the best film. It's definitely not the best of his films or films in general. It's all right though. It's not too bad. If you've got, it's long as fuck for like a movie like this. It's one of the, like one of my major complaints about it. They could cut about 20 minutes probably out of this whole movie. Just snip it right the fuck out, throw it on the floor. But I don't think that's really the editor's fault. This guy. Oh man, here I go. Film editing, because Barry Alexander Brown, the editor, and cinematography by Alan Curris. Like these people are both like really good. They're on top of their shit. It totally shows, and like because they have at every like act break in the movie, they have like a montage of shit going on, you know, and like they're just like gorgeous. They're really well edited. They're really well shot, like lit, everything like exposure fucking perfect, of course. You know what I mean? Like any montage of shit happening from this movie could be the trailer for the movie, and it would work perfectly fine. The trailer for this movie, by the way, is fucking awesome. Like, there's about 2 trailers. And that's the only thing I remember about this coming out. There was a little controversy, and there was like the trailers were fucking on point. They were so good. I think I think that guy might have made the trailer as well. But like any one of the little montages, they kind of advance time. They show a bunch of events going on, like because this happens over like a long time. It happens over like the entire time Son of Sam was doing his shit, you know. So yeah, like it just kind of compresses like these plot points into like a little like a package. It works out really well in the movie. Um, but yeah, like these are fucking like really well put together. However, it could have chopped a lot out of the movie itself. There's a lot of shit going on in it that just doesn't really need to be there. Like scenes just kind of go on, fucking on, and like what apparently according to IMDb, and these guys aren't like entirely on point all the time with their shit. But I was looking like at the trivia for this movie and stuff, and I guess what happened was originally Adrian Brody's character was supposed to be the main character, and John Leguizamo was supposed to be like a fucking. He was like kind of like the second banana guy, but like John like Leguizamo's super good at like improvisation and like ad libbing shit. He's like one of those actors, you know. He's got like a really solid comedy background, and he's a fucking good actor, you know. But so he ad libbed a whole ton of shit. He'd just go like, you know, like way off the fucking rails with his stuff, and he'd just like kind of start dropping lines like during like the whole thing, and like just really getting into character and like making it really good. And you know, Spike Lee fucking loved that shit, so he just kind of let him go, you know, and like he actually became like the main focus of the movie. But it totally shows though in the length of a lot of the scenes, because these fucking go on forever, forever and ever. It's because like Leguizamo's good, he's dropping good shit, but it's it doesn't translate into like a tight movie. You know what I mean? It kind of feels like one of those modern comedies where they get like some fucking guy from like Saturday Night Live or whatever and his friends together, you know, and they fucking they just sit in a fucking room and they like drop like just lines of dialogue and shit like that, and they fucking like rehash the scene like constantly. That's how it feels. It just keeps going like that, and like the scenes just don't cut when they're supposed to. They just like they each could have cut like 10 seconds fucking before they did, you know. It would have been great. But yeah, like the whole like another thing is the tone of the film is super weird, because apparently the production got in like a ton of trouble, because what they were originally going to do was make like a straight up serial killer movie about the Son of Sam. Kind of like, I guess they were kind of going to do like a Henry portrait of kind of a thing, maybe, you know. And like people people who like still like were around, who, you know, were the families of the victims of this guy, and they're like, oh no, don't make him look cool in this movie, you know. So fucking Spike Lee like changed his shit to be about like the people who are like afraid of like the shit that's going on. But there's a whole bunch of scenes with Son of Sam in it, like just like talking. He's like reading like all the weird fucking notes and shit to the cops that he sent, you know. And there's like all these like weird little montages of him like freaking out in his apartment and like thinking his neighbor's dog is telling him to kill people, and like talking about like how there's a guy who lives in a hole in his wall fucking who like trains little kids to be in a cult and stuff like that. And all this shit. And it doesn't fit with the rest of the movie, because, you know, like there needs to be kind of like Son of Sam in this movie needs to be kind of like a nameless fucking like fear that you've never, you know, you don't like know what the fuck he looks like, because, you know, you're not you're not a part of his thing. You're a part of the other people's things. You're a part of their story. You know, he's just kind of like almost the backdrop for like their fucking kind of shitty lives, right? So, you know, and he should be like a menacing, weird like threat. And you never know like where he's gonna strike, and you know, like you don't know what he looks like because these guys don't fucking know what he looks like. But like, you know, halfway through the movie, we totally see Son of Sam like talking about shit and like doing weird stuff in his apartment, being gross. So, you know, it kind of takes a little bit of that like tension away. You know, a lot of stuff in this movie takes the tension away. Like there's the Son of Sam tension. You know, like there's this like he makes like a threat, you know, to the newspapers where he's like, I'm gonna turn up on this night and I'm gonna kill a bunch of people, you know. But they just kind of drop that in the thing, like we're supposed to know that everybody was anticipating this fucking like scary event to happen because of Son of Sam. But like it just kind of comes out of nowhere. I think they mention it in the beginning a little bit, but that's the kind of thing you got to build throughout the entire movie. You got to be like, oh my god, this night's happening fucking like really soon. We got to get our shit together, you know, and get all scared and stuff. Because this movie, it's supposed to be about fear, you know, of Son of Sam, I guess, and it's like it kind of is, and it kind of turns into like a movie that's kind of about xenophobia, and it's kind of about like people having kind of like multiple like identities, like they have like the face they present to like their friends, you know. It's like the sociological concept of like the mask, you know what I mean, going on, or like the you know, like everybody has like a ton of different roles that they portray for their friends and family, and just like when they're by themselves and when they're with their boss and when they're with their wife or whatever. And like that's kind of what the movie kind of turns into, because, you know, turns out like Adrian Brody's guy, he's not only into punk rock music, but he also likes the dick. He's like he's super about dudes, and he's a fucking, I think he's bi because he has a girlfriend, and he's in porno movies where he fucks like women. But he's also like a gay stripper and prostitute, like to like fund his music career, I guess, because there's like a one of those montages like shows him like doing a bunch of guys and like doing some like weird performance in this weird like dirty theater where he's like stabbing dummies and shit and like freaking out, like he's all shirtless and he's pulling this fucking pillow apart and like all this stuff's flying around, and it's like vaguely weirdly sexual. But then he goes and like buys a guitar and stuff, and he's all excited, and he's like in a band later. So yeah, there's that. And then like Leguizamo's character is he like cheats on his wife, is like his whole thing. He's like super horny and he cheats on his wife like all the time with a ton of people. So that's like, and he won't do like kind of like frisky naughty sex with his wife. He'll only do like straight up fucking just like penetration in the dark, done kind of sex. Like he won't like do any of that stuff with his wife, but he'll do it with other chicks because of like, I don't know, his upbringing or some shit, you know what I mean? So like, and that's their two like little like spooky kind of thing they're hiding from everyone, but it's kind of like out in the open at the same time, you know. So it kind of becomes about that, and then it's also about the Son of Sam, and it's also about like kind of the mob mentality fear of like fucking like the outsider and shit like that, like the other, you know, in like these small communities, because like the cops can't do shit, you know, and they're actually like trying to get the mob to help them, you know. So like the mafia is like after Son of Sam too. It's kind of like M a little bit. It seems like they're like he's fucking up business and scaring everybody in the neighborhood, and it's terrifying. So we got to kill this guy first, right? So they like start like trying to solve the mystery and like making lists of people it could be, and then Leguizamo's fucking Italian American squad decides to do the same thing, but they don't have their shit together as much as the real mafia does. So they're like, this guy's weird. There's this whole scene where they're just like, this dude, you know, he's weird and he drives a cab, so we should go fucking fuck with him and stuff, just in case he's Son of Sam, you know? So like there's this whole like weird xenophobia thing going on. where they just talk about all the weird people who could be the guy, but they actually go out and like harass them and like slash their tires and like beat them and shit like that, just in case, I guess. And like fucking Adrian Brody's losing his shit this whole time. Like he got into punk rock and he got all intense and he breaks a glass on his head and fucking freaks out, you know, drinks his own blood in front of people. So they get convinced that he's Son of Sam, and he attacks like this gay guy they know, because he's like at the porno theater or whatever, and like he kind of knows that Adrian Brody's like into gay stuff, and like so he like attacks him and like threatens him so he doesn't tell anybody. You know, it's like, and this dude just like some gay guy that like buys weed from Leguizamo's friends. But and he's like, oh shit, this guy must be the Son of Sam then, right? So he goes and tells his fucking buddies, and they end up like fucking like attacking him, and they end up kicking his ass really bad and like all this stuff. So it's just about like a ton of shit, you know? It's not, it could be focused on like one thing. You know what I mean? It's just, it's too many threads. It's too fucking messy, which is weird for a Spike Lee movie because he's generally fucking like on point. He's generally like, this is the theme, this is what we're doing, we're running with it. None of this other weird backstory shit that doesn't matter, you know. He just goes for it. But yeah, man. Anything else that's bad about it? I feel like I'm talking a lot of shit. Soundtrack's fucking awesome. However, there's one of the montages in the movie. Soundtrack's all 70s ass, like disco and shit. And I think Edith Piaf is on the soundtrack at one point, and like they have kind of a cool score going on. And I think like Pete Townsend is on there. Yeah, and they play that song. They were like Teenage Wasteland, that one. You know, they play that song during a montage about the punk rock guy doing like his gay stuff and buying a guitar and shit. And like it shows all like Son of Sam like fucking around. There's a cool part in that montage where it shows Son of Sam like rocking out like on a fucking broom, like he's fucking playing guitar in the room with, oh shit, fucking hell, fuck. Yeah, that was somebody calling for me. But yeah, so yeah, he's no, I'm all fucked up. He's in the room like with Leguizamo and, you know, a ton of people like in the montage, and it's kind of like, I think it's like the specter of that guy being there. Like he's not actually there, but they're just kind of thinking about him, you know, like he's in the room. But anyway, they played this song, and they could have fucking, well, I don't know why they played that song, because the guy's in a punk band. They could have played a punk fucking song. They could have there's like a ton of music to choose from that they could have done that would have, because it's kind of through the punk rock guy's perspective, you know, and he's playing the fucking Teenage Wasteland song on his fucking guitar. I'm like, why would he rock out to that? Why? You know, because they wanted it on the soundtrack, because it'd sell better than like a song nobody's heard of. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of a bummer for me. But yeah, like, I don't know, like it's got good performances. You know, everything's pretty cool. And check it out if you want. If you haven't seen it already. It's been a good 17 years. So, yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely not Spike Lee's best movie. It's not the best serial killer movie. It's a cool take on it, though. I like that it's more about the community, even though they didn't intend to do that originally. You know? Yeah, it's mediocre. It's not bad. You know? It's not bad. If you've got, like, the patience to sit through, like, a nearly, like, 3-hour movie about people yelling at each other, which is pretty much what it turns into, you know? People just, like, accusing each other of random shit, you know, and, like, being sad and doing some drugs and stuff. Yeah. And that's what it is, and occasionally being afraid of the Son of Sam in, like, a weirdly paced way. Yeah, so if you've got the patience for it, it's pretty good. It's real pretty. The soundtrack's awesome. It's really well acted. Check it out if you haven't, you know, since it's not at all new. And at 25 minutes,